All right, and we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And since I'm not there, is there any, and we'll need a motion to approve the minutes from September.
Looks like that was moved by McKay.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Again, not seeing it, not being in person, is there any public there for public comment?
No public present.
All right, then no public comment. And we'll move on to new business and our special purpose funding for some holiday lights. So I guess we need to kick that over to Christina to take the lead.
Good afternoon, everyone. During our last executive committee meeting at the WDI level, our executive committee members approved $10,000 to go towards supporting Christmas lights on the Riverwalk. This obviously is not going to be enough to do what we want to do. I have received 2 proposals so far for these lights, and working in tandem with our Downtown Development Committee, DBA, and one local business owner, Carl Marshburn. We have met several times out on the Riverwalk to kind of put something together that will make the Riverwalk and that one block of Market Street look festive for the holidays. So it costs a lot of money to get Christmas lights downtown. If you want to hire a contractor, or I mean, we've considered hiring contractors, doing volunteer efforts, doing a combination of contractor and volunteer efforts, something to light up downtown Wilmington once again. So WDI has put its money forward, and today we are seeking support from the MSD by way of a special project funding. We have a total of $15,000 in special project funds in the MSD funds, special project account portion, I guess, line item of our budget. And so I'd like for this committee to consider contributing to this effort.
Thanks, Christina. Could you go over a little bit of the proposal you got and how it was broken out and break down the cost of what was proposed for Market Street and the Riverwalk as 2 separate items, please?
Sure.
See if we can get this on the screen too. Hang tight. Can you guys see anything on the screen right now?
I can't, but I'm driving, so I'm not really looking.
No, there's no screen share.
All right, hang tight. Let me try to share and then I'll pull it up. I'm realizing that I'm of the age where I need reading glasses because I can't see anything even on the giant screen.
You and me both, buddy.
Apologies. All right, here we go. Let's try this. All right, can you guys see desktop now?
Yes.
All
right, which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with Double Check. So Double Check is the only one who has actually broken down by amount the proposal. So if you want to open up the Riverwalk Lights proposal first.
All right, can everyone see Double Check on top there?
It's still in the folder for us.
Yeah.
All right, hang tight. What about now?
Yeah, you got it.
All right, cool.
All right, so we're looking at a combination of things. One, lighting the rails from Market to Dock Street. And then in a phase 2 project, Dock to Orange. We are looking at possibly lighting up the visitor center roof line and doing some wraps on the 2 columns in the front. In addition to adding snowflakes to each of the lamp posts down, starting at the foot of Market Street, all the way down, meeting Ann Bonny's. Carl has insisted that he will light up his front portion in front of Ann Bonny's as well to tie in to what we're doing here. And so this is just the overall Riverwalk section of the proposal, very light. It can be added. You can get a choice of color. We can do white, blue, red, green. We can alternate colors. Same thing with the visitor center. This is actually a reduced estimate. The original proposal was $175,000. And then I went back and asked them to break it down as finite as they could. So we're looking at phase one, really from Market to Dock Street in a pilot, in hopes that if we put this forward and we do this and it attracts visitors, then maybe there'll be further support behind us in the following holiday season. So this is the area where we're looking. I don't know if you can zoom in on that at all, but it's just showing right where the Riverwalk begins in front of the federal courthouse building, all the way down to Ann Bonny's.
Did that get bigger for everyone on the screen?
Yeah,
All right, I'm learning as I'm going here.
So that's the service area.
Christina,
Basically, the area outlined in red there is essentially Riverwalk at the foot of Market down to Dock Street. Pretty much this area right here where my mouse is supposed to be.
I know the goal is to use permanent lighting. Is this temporary seasonal and they'll take it off? Or is this going to be a permanent installation we can add on to?
No, this will be up for the duration of the holiday season, taken down and stored. So this is only temporary for the holidays. We can talk to the company to see if we can keep it lit up for this one section. Obviously, we would take the snowflakes down
Yeah.
after a little while. But this really is just geared towards driving traffic downtown during the holiday season, trying to increase consumer spending and just give folks a little bit more, festive aura or charm to downtown when they come visit.
And have you mentioned this to Kim and the CVB?
I have not. Nope. I
Yeah.
was going to bring this to the CVB during our Riverwalk assessment meeting next week.
I mean, we know we've got that ARPA money. And by this being spearheaded, it may give some direction because we've been having those meetings over and over. I think we've got the
I
meeting
think,
coming up.
I haven't spoken with Kim.
Uh-huh.
Neither have I spoken with the city manager's office either. I was waiting to see kind of what direction we got from MSD and that really the secured funding. So my next step was to, update the manager's office on the initiative, but the discussion amongst Christina, myself, McKay, member of DBA and a couple other members from WDI out there was this could be just a very grassroots starting point for what then that Riverwalk CVB initiative could be turned into with that ARPA funding probably next year. I think we're not gonna be able to move quick enough with the CB initiative for this season, but it could be a starting point for what
That ARPA
larger
money's,
scale is.
there's a time limit or the feds take it back, right?
I think we have to have it earmarked by the end of next calendar year and spent 2 years into 26 or into 27, I believe. No, I think if ARPA, since it's federal dollars, trust me, let me first start by saying this. I'm not an expert when it comes to the ARPA funding, but per my understanding on the ARPA side, if it's not earmarked and spent by that deadline, we got to cut a check back to the federal government
It's my user list is my understanding
Yep.
as well.
within the, 20 categories that we had to spend it and stuff. So.
Yeah. There's others that are on the board, but this is one that's been, Sean said she's not going to retire until we light up the Riverwalk. Isn't that right, CVB.
I don't speak for Kim or for Sean, but I do know that they're both very interested in
Yeah.
lighting up the Riverwalk. There's been many, many conversations for years at the CVB about that.
Yeah,
Whether or not they've got funding for it, I can't answer, but
the CVB Riverwalk Initiative basically laid out a top 7 or top 8. I think we've alluded to a few of the items over the last few meetings, but a top 8 that came out of the consultants review and report. And I think lighting of the Riverwalk was fell into number 3 or number 4, right next to kind of a permanent type attraction out on the water as well. Correct.
The old section.
It is, per my understanding, on the repairs that are happening on the Riverwalk portion. It's split into 2 sections. There's a southern section, which is in much worse shape than a northern section. Southern section, per my understanding, was roughly dock and point south, and that's where the conduit's running underneath the decking boards and really getting hit with the ebbs and flows of the tide there. And then there's a northern section that is currently underway and getting repaired with FEMA money. And I think that's from roughly Convention Center and points north, I believe.
Well, this is something that's been discussed for 15 years that I'm aware of. So I'd like to make a motion to support this as part of MSD and use the special funds. Because we're good at talking, let's do something.
And Christina, not to jump in on the motion, did you say you would do one of the blocks as a pilot market to dock and not do dock to orange? Because I almost feel like dock to orange is darker because the tree is at market and water.
That's
So
say one of the challenges with this is kind of what's been a roadblock leading up to this point is what Chris mentioned just now. It's the electrical capacity on the southern end of the Riverwalk. And right around when you get to the Dock Street and Bonnie's Carl Marshburn property areas where our electrical capacity is just, it's messy and not consistent. So I think that's kind of where the natural right now is the starting point. The natural endpoint south was kind of where Carl's property was. I think once we repair, once we get to that portion and we're fully electrified and repaired on the normal lighting, those gooseneck lights that run the Riverwalk, I think we can look at that point. I think until then, you'd have to talk generators and it just becomes logistically tough.
Didn't Carl's, I mean, are we going to use his juice he had offered?
I think Christina McKay, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe what we were looking for with the WDI funding and the potential MSD funding was to basically on phase 1 was run the lights down the Riverwalk railings to basically Dock Street, which starts roughly Carl's property. And Carl was going to do his own thing to kind of add on to what the city's effort or the joint effort was going to be.
And we also have a proposal, if you want to share, for the foot of Market Street out to the foot of front, 0 block of front.
That this.
No, that's well, that's another proposal. I was going to get into that in just a
This one
minute.
right here, the market tree.
Yes.
All right. Can everyone see the double check again?
Yep.
So this is what we're looking at kind of per tree along Market Street. We're hoping to light up by utilizing the wrapping the trees and branches, doing some streams, maybe some balls, but this is just for lighting up and doing 2 cap ends, one at the corner of Market in front and then another one at the corner of Market and Water. In that sort of fashion. This is a very rough sketch. You know, ideally we'd like a little bit more lighting. We may have to, you know, in the future, look about putting the lights a little bit higher in the trees rather than being so close, just in fear of somebody tearing it off of the tree. But this is the proposal for lighting up Market Street in front of the businesses. I think this would be a nice complement if we are able to fund it for the businesses. I would love to have just a community effort to light every single storefront along Market Street as well, even if it's just a business owner lining their doorway with a string of lights. It would really help getting some festive charm for this particular area. And then we've received a second proposal. So this is from a pressure washing company who kind of deals in their expertise. They lit up Common Desk last year and did an absolutely beautiful job of doing it. They have some drone video footage and stuff that they've sent me of what they did at Common Desk. The other proposal, Chance, if you can go into Brooks' folder. This was by way of McKay bringing on board a woman who works in the film industry, and kind of thought this may be a good way to help
Which one?
the industry. It doesn't matter.
All right, let's go top.
Help the industry, and it's kind of lying still right now. So she has come in and given us kind of her concept. We don't have any costs just yet. She is working on sending that to us in the next couple of days, but this is kind of what she envisions doing along Market Street.
Can everyone see the different photo there with the kind of much larger? Got it. Cool. Sorry.
Yeah. And the proposed area would be this section here. And if you scroll down, Chance, I think there's a little bit more, just adding to the Riverwalk a little bit more with some wreaths and some extra Christmas lights on the back. And then right here, she's looking for turning this kind of into a gingerbread house.
Why'd you say it like that?
A gingerbread house.
No, your voice dropped. You don't like the gingerbread house?
I love the gingerbread house.
Okay. Make sure everybody's on board.
If there's anybody in this room who is more excited about Christmas and the idea of bringing Christmas back downtown, it's McKay Siegel. So McKay, if you want to go through this proposal.
All right. So I do want to go through this proposal. Absolutely. So obviously the first thing we did was meet with the discount, the double check pressure washer guy. And we talked about some ideas. We got a number back that was $175,000, which is just what it costs to hang Christmas lights. And you saw there's things on there, $3,000 a tree, that Lawrence and I, being as cheap as we are, makes our skin kind of go, kind of crawl a little bit. So one of the things that came up in the course of that conversation was, well, what color lights do we do? Do we do white lights? Do we do colored lights? Do we do big lights, small lights? And the guy's like, it's up to you. But we're not designers. We're not set. We don't do this. And then it occurred to us, there's a whole industry of people in our town who do this. This is just what they do. You say, make this look like Christmas, and that's what they do. And they do it very effectively and efficiently. And as it happens, a lot of them are out of work right now. So Lawrence and I both have some contacts in the film industry, as I'm sure you guys all do, but these are the people that could come out quickly. And to the point, they came out the next day because, again, most of them need stuff to do right now, and they can do it much more cheaply. They can do it much more creatively, and they can take control of a project like this and work towards a budget that we can give them. They're not going to charge us $3,000 a tree. They'll work a lot more flexibly with us. They'll come up with creative ways to do things, working towards a budget that they usually get to design a set. So depending on what our budget ultimately becomes is the product that you're going to get. And we will release some of that design. One of the part of the problem with approving things by committee is that everybody wants to design the thing. And that's just, it can't happen here. We don't have the time for it, unfortunately, but we can hire a company who does this. This is their industry. This is their realm. Give them some direction, maybe veto one or two things, and otherwise say, hey, cut loose. One of the things that came with Brooke was this idea for a gingerbread house, or the idea for her and Christina were talking about doing a Santa's Wonderland type of workshop on the other side of it. There's this big empty plaza over there that's just like, it looks like it maybe is a stage or something. Doing a little Santa's Wonderland, something just for kids to see and have fun and enjoy. I still actually think that we can get a similar range of lights. I think that we can still light up Market Street and get pretty well down get pretty well down the Riverwalk as far as just kind of illuminating that and also get the scenes that we were looking for a much reduced price and with some professional direction in the room from again, people that just, this is what they do.
Need clarification on one thing. So all of the gingerbread chair stuff would be on the back side and not on the front side?
So there's a couple of different scenes that say, and speaking in terms of movies, I got to speak with Brooke a little bit
Gotta
this
keep
morning.
that window clear is the issue,
Which one?
the front window.
Oh, yeah, we're not going to do anything with the visitor center. We maybe would decorate like the top of it up and do some candy canes or something, but
Okay.
yeah, we're not going to obstruct that.
Okay,
I think
gotcha.
that area right there is where we would set up maybe a Santa's Wonderland type of a thing. Just it's just photo ops is what it is. Hashtag Instagram, whatever, hashtag Wilmington Downtown 2024.
If funding and logistics permit. If not, it's once again a working idea as we expand this thing potentially through the years.
Well, I love it. I gotta keep that window clear. It's my only issue.
Yeah, your window's good.
And we'll work with obviously all of the regulatory people that we need to make sure that we're not doing anything on city property that we can't.
Like what McKay said, I think you gotta keep it up for us, the MSD. Yes. I don't.
Okay, it's Brooke thinking one of the riggers is Brooke.
Barnhill.
Yeah, yeah.
She did we met through the haunted house thing on Castle.
Oh, yeah, she did
That's
that with
her, yeah.
Justin and all those. But is she thinking using like Jungle, some of the crew guys with JLGs to do the installation?
Absolutely.
I think we'll save a lot of money.
And it's a good, I mean, as PR goes, the film industry's obviously been good to our town. This is just a little way that we can, kind of help them out, especially the holidays. And we'll get something cooler than just the sterile Christmas lights that every other,
Yeah.
city does. We've got a huge
I like
industry
that.
here. Let's exploit it. We need
There's already a motion on the floor.
Can I make a second to Terry's motion?
well, do we have a dollar amount attached to the motion? Are we gonna?
Yeah, I was,
Up to 15 from us?
I'll second that.
So a motion for funding up to $15,000 if we can make the stars align and make it happen.
is that the motion? All in favor?
I think
Yeah. And it would also be great, the tree lighting is that Friday after Thanksgiving, and sometimes there's up to now like a couple of thousand people show up. So it would be awesome.
Yeah, I think the idea.
But Terry, the kids don't care about the tree
I-
lighting, not even a little bit.
They
My
do.
8-year-old just doesn't care about it. He wants to go, they
Oh,
want to go
no,
run
I'm
over to
saying
Santa's
do all of
Wonderland
it,
and yeah,
because
do
there's
all of it. That's what I'm
2,000
saying.
people there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So this to me would be more of a expand the experience
Yeah.
type
I
of a
think the
thing.
idea too was to, if we can make this happen, we
Yeah.
can fund it, get it installed, and we can make it happen, was to make it happen so that it's
Yeah.
already lit leading into your DBA Christmas lighting on Small Business Saturday.
So that's already $25,000, right? If you've got the 10 and then the 15. That's great.
Maybe CVB will chip in, you think?
No, I
Well,
can't-
and speaking on behalf of WDI, we were willing, in that executive meeting, we were willing to match whatever the MSD was putting up, so we can probably go as high as 15.
DBA is going to be buying some more decorations for the alien tree. I think that there's 500 allocated, but we can probably hit for a little bit since we don't have a lot of money.
I've also spoken with Justin Smith,
Mhm.
and he is very excited about this effort. And he said that he will rally business support, maybe some small business funding, maybe some corporate funding behind this. I mean, it can go to WDI as a donation towards this specific project, and we wouldn't mind dedicating those funds for it. But really, the small business community, if they can't contribute financially, then lighting up their storefronts would be, I think, the biggest contribution to this project. So he's more than happy to join forces with WDI and go out and market for either one of those two things.
One thing we need to keep in mind too, from tax ramification for small business owners, there's got to be somewhere that shows their name, that they were a sponsor, or they can't write it off. I mean, it's always advertising, but if they're audited, and I write off any donations I give like that, but this year the IRS came back and said, there's got to be a sponsor board that shows that there's actual connection to the ones that are donating the money for them to write it off, not the nonprofits.
What if it's sending out mass emails about it and here are our business sponsors?
Yeah, and on the
Yeah,
Facebook
anything that
page.
lists-
or
Every
anything.
single DBA, every single WDI newsletter just splashes those contributing businesses
I think that's.
and their logos.
And I will talk to Kim as soon as I get out of this meeting. Again, I can't speak for her on allocating funds, but my assumption is that she would be in favor of it if she can get approval from the board. So that's, I feel certain that that could happen, but I can't speak for Kim or the CBB on funding.
And I'll copy her in on my correspondence to the managers meeting following this either today or
But
tomorrow.
that, I
so
think that
she's
would be
aware.
awesome. That's something that I've talked about for years and multiple different things. You've got people, 25% of this town drives an hour and a half to a field every Christmas and spends tons of cash out there riding like hay rides through lights. So it would be a no-brainer to turn this town into an extravagant light show to bring people in. And if we're bringing movie studio folks into it, that's a press release that's going to go statewide, I'm certain.
Thank you guys for
Hey,
considering it.
Guys.
Mr. Chair, real quick, if I
Yeah.
could just get verification on who motioned in second, was it John or was it Terry and
Terry's
McKay?
motion,
made the motion.
it was second.
seconded it.
And all was in favor? Were there any nays in the group? I don't think so.
I don't believe
right?
so.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
All right, great. Thanks, guys. There's no further discussion about that. Is Lieutenant Nichols on board? Or is he out of town?
Lieutenant Nichols got called to a specific meeting a couple hours before this, and if you can hang tight, I might have his update. All right, from Lieutenant Nichols, stats for the month of September are as follows: ABC law violations 36, drug-related charges 20, 15 felony and 5 misdemeanor, other criminal charges 86, which is disorderly conduct, trespassing, etc. And that's what I've got as an update from Lieutenant Nichols.
Do we
All
have
right.
any money? I'm sorry, Tom.
No,
do
go
we have
ahead.
any- Do we have any money to sort of help bespoke replace shot out glass?
I have had a really long conversation with Chris about that. I told him once he goes through insurance companies and all that, if he's not able to get it covered, then we will pursue a facade improvement grant for him and try and expedite that process for him.
Wonderful. Do we have any more details from Nichols about the shootings the last 2 weeks?
No, but he did note in his update that this weekend and next weekend, they'll have additional support downtown, plainclothes and uniformed personnel, as well as ALE that will be conducting bar inspections throughout the area.
I learned on Tuesday that it was a much broader incident. So within our MSD, it also went up to the Hannah Block Center. So you're talking second to Orange, second to Princess, Water Princess, much broader area initially thought.
This is just a little history. John's probably aware of this, but 8 years ago, we worked with the press really, really hard to get them to identify downtown instances, anything from Fifth downtown, but anything going on beyond that, they were in the press always saying downtown shoot, might have been at 10th. And I mean, this is not that relative because it did happen downtown, but we did get the press to play nice for many years, understanding stuff going on 17th is not downtown.
Yeah, I remember that, Terry, for sure.
Yeah.
And to piggyback on the not downtown, is there any information about or any plans for the homeless encampment that's up at MLK and
Yeah.
Carr, I think it is, being cleared out? Are we anticipating any new residents to the MSD area? Or planning for?
I can cover all that in my report.
So you got that coming, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, do we have other reports?
You're ready, go.
You'll be up next.
Okay. So yes, we've known about this for probably about 3 or 4 weeks now. The team is well informed on what's going on. And really, all we're going to be doing is what we have been doing. We're just going to be expecting a lot more folks downtown. So the enforcement happened yesterday. We're going to wait about a week to see where people travel. And then we're going to do a 3-day point in time count to assess the situation, to see how many people have come into our district, what's our total, where folks are seeking shelter, and where we can reach them out and bring them to the services in our community. And really, we're just doing exactly what we've been doing. We're just going to be a lot more busy. We're anticipating 20 to 30 folks to come downtown. Right now, we're about 86, kind of our frequenters downtown. 20 of them are incarcerated right now. Once they get out, we'll be back to that 86 number, but 20 of those 86 are incarcerated. And that number really fluctuates minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. It just depends on what's happening. We have a day shelter that runs service on Monday and Wednesdays from 9 o'clock until 1 p.m. During those times, you will see a notable difference in the population down here because majority of those folks are at that day shelter, getting services, getting food, new clothing, hot meal, something at that day shelter. So that's been an incredible resource here. I think Jack and has reported on it in the past, and I've included it in our MSD report, monthly reports, but that has been a really big contributor both to the unhoused, because it's such a good resource for them, and then just a little bit of relief for the business community in the mornings during that time. We are already seeing some incidents arise from this group on top of, the what's happened last weekend. So, our police officers have been on it, but they have been faced by both challenges. So I just ask that everybody continue to support our downtown lieutenant and our downtown task force because they've been working very, very hard the past week. So I did want to just touch on some of the stats. This month is when we announced the establishment of our street outreach program. And Jack Morris started on November 29th of 2021. So now we're 2 years into this almost. And so far he's made 8,181 outreach referrals and touches. So just basically he's made more than 8,000 contacts with folks downtown. He's done a lot of work. Business contacts in relation to these matters. He's made 1,800, a little over 1,800. Mental health crisis interventions, he's assisted in 258. He's made over 2,200 social services referrals. And Jack literally puts people in his vehicle and takes them to shelters or to the DMV to get a license. Or many other things. He's made 545 transportations assistance calls, transports for unhoused population. So he's doing a lot of work on top of the city county getting home initiative team. They are down here a lot as well. So we do have some great resources to help with what we're about to see happen for downtown in regards to that one encampment disbursement.
That's great. Thank you, Christina. Any questions for Christina?
Jack uses an MSD vehicle, right?
Jack uses his personal vehicle.
Yep.
Is that something we should think about if he's transporting a lot of people back and forth for work to use his personal vehicle for?
If we have the resources, I mean, maybe, you know, with this and many other things, you know, we've not really, we've done some employee retention measures and we've added Jack to the district since the program started, but we've added a 7,000 person concert venue, you know, nearly 300 new apartment units. Downtown has changed since the establishment of the MSD program, yet we've not added ambassadors to cover everything. So we keep adding and adding, but we're maintaining with the same amount of folks with the same amount of hours each year. So maybe when we look at next year's budget, we kind of rethink things. But I mean, our team does a really great job with what limited hours we have. They're working really, really hard every day, and we try and manage everything that we can.
Great, thanks.
So
Good job.
And to address that comment, Lawrence, that might be a question to ask of Common Desk, since Jack is technically their employee, and also the MSD vehicle, since to get it off our books because of some regulatory stuff, we are now leasing those vehicles from them, and they're responsible for all the maintenance and upkeep and swapping them out. So that might be a question for how Common Desk would want to handle it.
Or,
I'm
You mean
sorry, not
block
Common
by
Desk,
block?
block by block. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I think at one point I added into my, you know, working into our budget to submit to the city last year. At some point I added an additional vehicle and upgrading the current vehicle, and it was quite costly to do that.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, I can do it. I can present the numbers, but I just don't know if the city is going to want to finance that.
Well, it also, like I said, it also clouds everything a whole bunch, Lawrence. So again, if we get another vehicle, it should be a block by block ask for them to give Jack a car, or again, whatever mileage they're paying him, or kind of drill down into it from that side.
But
Just as
I
FYI.
can take a look at that, Lawrence, and I'll get you those numbers. And some good news, our grants, the WDI Grants Committee met last week and approved 2 facade improvement grants. One for $5,000 to up to $5,000 to go towards improvements happening at Slanches over there on Front Street. They're going to be doing painting the facade, adding some gooseneck lighting and some high intense lighting in Quebec Alley, where they've experienced a lot of issues there. So we're hoping that, you know, by supporting them with this grant, they can do not only beautification improvements, but also public safety improvements as well. And then we awarded a $2,500 grant to up to $2,500 to Brooklyn Cafe. They have already hit their ground running with renovations and are painting as we speak. And they will be adding a mural as a separate component to our grant program, but they are they've painted a beautiful color white. They've done some really nice work on the iron, and they've hired a wonderful artist to paint their sign and do a number of additions to the building. So they're doing upgrades both outside and inside the building. They are also supported by our microloan program. So we expect that through WDA's help and through the really big investment that Brooklyn Cafe is doing as well, on top of what we've been doing to help, is going to improve that section of the Brooklyn Arts District here very soon.
I do have a question, and I didn't pay attention to this until somebody brought it up. The parking guys now have shirts that say ambassadors. And I love myself some Corinne, but there's some confusion between them and the MSD ambassadors right now.
we're working on getting that fixed. I think we're trying to avoid buying a few $1,000s worth of brand new uniforms again, just an oversight that we missed. In our RFP process, we classify them as parking ambassadors and just miss the potential confusion between the two. Even though they're colored different, I think MSD is green versus parking on the orange side. Any new uniforms we're buying do not have the ambassador logo. So we're working on kind of just slowly phasing that back to just removing that without having to spend a few $1,000s on the uniforms.
They don't respond the way that MSD ambassadors respond, so.
Yeah. I think James with Block by Block, Christina and I, and a few others, even Justin Smith brought that to my attention, pretty much day one when the new contractor came out in July. So we're working through that.
All right, if there's no more questions for Christina, we'll move over to Chance.
All right, city update lightning round. Something that Chris brought up earlier, slightly outside the MSD, but the city's street brick rehab project continues at the corner of Castle, or on the block of South Front and Castle. I believe that work started this week on that block, and timing on that always depends on what they really resurface underneath and the repairs have to go in to getting that brick back in place. Beginning of first week of November, the downtown resurfacing begins. We had a little public info session at DBA back in August, or actually September. I think it's 7 or 8 blocks downtown. It's 200 block or 100 block of Princess, 0 and 100 block of Market, and 2nd Street from Market to Ann Street, and the 200 block of Orange Street are just strictly getting resurfaced with Highland paving. Work shouldn't take more than a couple weeks between all those blocks. Should be, depending on the condition, a day, a night, couple days, couple nights per block. I can send that schedule out to the MSD if anyone would like to see that. Believe it starts on the residential blocks in 2nd Street, daytime work in Orange Street, and then kind of progresses out from there. City does now own the old Coast Guard Diligence property there at the foot of Market and the foot of Princess Street. Efforts behind the scenes are going in on some improved signage, some improved safety measures along just the waterfront portion there, as well as kind of restricting access straight down into that kind of hazard area that Chris, you've mentioned before. I think signage just got approved this week, so it's getting proofed and ordered. So it should be up shortly to just restrict right there at that bollard section. I believe they're going to put some, just a simple chain, yellow chain between those bollards as a very low security, just to restrict with signage. There's going to be a windmaster that directs people back out to the sidewalk and Riverwalk. And I think here in the interim, there's going to be just some very low kind of like pedestrian corral type safety measures put right there at the foot of the property to still allow kind of folks to walk down and get a visual of the water there, but also make it a little bit harder to fall into the water there. Short-term Coast Guard, the portion of that property from Princess South is going to be incorporated into the streetscaping there on that block in front of the courthouse. There's been some back and forth on some potential revisions since the last plans that came through on that were pre Hurricane Florence. We're 4+ years down the line and a lot's changed. So I would expect some revisions to be made with that, possibly to council for approval first of the calendar year, and then a potential procurement mobilization, I would think by summertime or fall of next year. Princess Street South, where the parking lot is currently in that green space, would potentially be included with a future CIP project, green space and a connection into the streetscaping portion there. And last but not least, city started its office transition up to 929 North Front Street last week of September. I believe a brunt of the offices will be transitioned into that building by early November. That will leave planning department at 305 Chestnut temporarily. That'll leave a portion of the community services department at 305 Chestnut temporarily. And then I believe the CFUA payment portion, which is on the first floor of 305 Chestnut, temporarily until their portion of the building can get designed and renovated for that kind of public facing side of the business that they do. And we will need to work on a future home for our meetings. I believe McKay brought it up last month. My office is transitioning November 9th, November 10th. Not sure what that means for our November meeting. I do know that there's a conflict with BOA Board of Adjustments that week because I'm drawing a blank. What's the big film festival? Cucalors is actually at Thalian Hall and has that space that week. So Board of Adjustments is looking for a home. They obviously always look for this space. So if we do have a November meeting, it could be that we're just all virtual on Zoom instead of in person. But yeah, there's 8 rooms up there kind of set up as conference type space. My assumption is we would have one of those rooms designated as a home for certain committees moving forward, which I think the MSD could fit into. There's dozens of very large conference rooms throughout the building. A group of 14 might be a little big for some of those rooms. I think DPAC probably fit in most of those conference rooms. I think we're a pretty large size group. We'd also have to make sure the virtual capabilities are there, but we're talking through kind of what that means for some of these committees.
Thalian Hall, we were just made aware that Tony says he doesn't see them leaving the ballroom for about 8 months because of technology issues and.
Correct. Yeah, they just, I think with some ARPA funding, they just upgraded a lot of that technology upstairs in council chambers and Thalian. So I think you got to make sure you're ready on the north end for that. Tom, that's it for me, unless there's any more
All right.
questions.
Yeah, if there's any questions for Chance, otherwise, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And if we have a second, we can all get out of here.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
everyone. Have a good Thursday.
See ya.